Hey guys, what's up? My name is Christian. I'm a 27-year-old PA. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about what my budget is like as a new grad physician assistant. So I think everybody should have a budget, and a lot of people overcomplicate it or don't do it at all and think it's more complicated than what it actually is. Creating a budget is fairly straightforward and easy to manage if you know what you're doing. You just have to have a goal, an idea of what your goals for the future are and your money goals. I think the start of that is deciding if you want to be a heavy investor, a light investor, or just somewhere in the middle. If you plan on retiring early, especially if you're doing what's called like the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early movement, you'll definitely want to be investing towards the higher end of the spectrum, anywhere from like up to 20 to 40% of your gross income. Now, for people who just want to get by and retire at a reasonable time, 60, 65, and still be able to live off of something and kind of have the same amount that you do now, anywhere from 15 to 20% is kind of a good estimate there. This fluctuates a lot based off of what your retirement income will be. Like if you continue to do per diem work or have some kind of business or residual income, some kind of pension plan, and for those people who want to do early retirement, you could still do like part-time or per diem. And that goes into kind of my plan is to leave full-time, or to be able to leave full-time at least when I want to, and go either part-time or per diem. So to do that, my investing and savings rate is very high to help reach that goal, at least for the time being. I don't plan on doing this long-term, maybe for the next 2 to 4 years. I've only been a PA for coming up 2 weeks on a year. And my savings rate, again, I did a post on my Instagram at Pre-PA Guide. You can go check that out. But my current investing rate, which is essentially the first portion that comes out, this is made up of my 403B, which essentially is a 401k retirement plan. I do get I think on an average, like 3% match from my employer. I have an HSA, a health savings account, which is completely tax-free and it's the best investments. You can use it for healthcare related expenses, but it's great to have because you don't pay taxes when you put it in. It's pre-tax, so it lowers your taxable income, so you pay less in taxes. And it is tax-free growth. You don't pay tax on the money when it grows. And when you use it, you don't pay taxes on it. So it's the only investment that's completely tax-free. My other investment is a Roth IRA, so I max out my 401k, HSA, and Roth IRA. I used to invest in a taxable brokerage account until I started investing in real estate. So then I took that money and put that towards savings for real estate. So now I only invest a small amount in a taxable brokerage account, just the amount that I invested while I was in PA school just to have fun with single stocks. So that's $10 a month, but I just keep that going. I figured why not? So for my investing, with maxing out all those accounts, that comes out to 35% of my income goes to investments. So most of my money, I never actually see the money that I make. That 35% goes to investing, like I said, which the majority is pre-tax, so it's gone before my paycheck even is processed. Taxes is 24%. So right there, I'm already losing. I'm not good with math, but 59%. So, and that's essentially my take-home pay is about what's left over actually. So my take-home pay is about 41% of my total income. And to me, that is completely fine. I live in a low cost of living area in rural PA. For example, my rent is $850, and some other rents in the area are even less than that. My fiance has car debt, but otherwise we are completely debt free, mainly thanks to scholarships in PA school and college, namely the NHSC scholarship in PA school, which is a full ride scholarship and provides a living stipend, which was a huge help to me and actually allowed me to save some money while in PA school and not throw away my life savings at PA school, as I have been saving and working since a sophomore in high school. Like I said, I used to invest in a taxable brokerage, so my investing rate was higher. I think like 50% or something. Now a lot of that money goes to real estate savings for my second real estate deal. Hopefully within the next, within 1 year, 1.5 years. So my savings rate, now that includes, I put all my savings into a high yield savings account. I use Marcus by Goldman Sachs. I could put the link below. Averages, when interest rates were a little bit higher, it was about 5%, I think. I think now it's up to like 4%, which is much more than you would get in a regular bank account. A regular bank account is like 0.025%, so you're making no money whatsoever. What I love about Marcus is it's the same as a bank account. It's completely FDIC insured, so your money's protected. You're gonna keep it in the bank anyway, so why not make some money off of it? I've made a lot of money just by letting that cash sit in there, and I don't have to do anything with it. There's no risk. So my savings rate, again, it includes real estate savings, it includes vacation savings, my emergency fund, which is already fully funded, so I'm not actively putting money into that. I have a family emergency fund if there's anything going on with my family, a furniture and appliances fund, and then a vehicle fund, which is constantly getting flushed out because I have a 11-year-old car with 130,000 miles on it, so that is not going well. So essentially all of that in my savings comes out to about 26%, with the vast majority of that being real estate savings. So my total investments and savings comes out to 61%. So essentially, once I take my investments out, I take my taxes out, and I take my savings out, I only have 15% of my total income left. So essentially that is basically what I'm living off of, and essentially my true take-home pay is 15% of my total income I live off of. And I don't necessarily feel that restricted. I've always kind of lived on very little and grew up having very little. And it's kind of just how I've adapted, and really what I enjoy to do is just trying to live off as little as possible and use and consume as little as possible. And I really do enjoy that. You obviously don't have to go that extreme. Like I said, set your goals and then run the numbers after that. The point of this video is just kind of to go through the possibilities and the importance of investing. I do think you should max out all your retirement accounts, including your 401k, HSA, and Roth IRA at the very minimum, which should bring you to around that 10 to 15%. Go up to your 401k, up to the employer match. That's free money, completely free money. That's one of the best investments you can make. Max out your HSA, again, amazing investment, and it's inevitable you're going to have some healthcare expenses at some point. You could also use it for even like first aid kits on Amazon and stuff. They'll accept HSA funds. And max out your Roth IRA as well. It's good to have that mixture of Roth, which is post-tax investments, and your HSA and 401k, which is pre-tax investments, as long as you do a traditional 401k. Also, the importance of using a high yield savings account. Again, that's free money. You're putting it in the bank anyway. You might as well make 5% off of it. My next expense, now me and my fiance, we split expenses. So my portion of the expenses is 13% of my total income. So again, I had 15% of my take-home pay left, which we live off of. I live off of. and 13% of that goes to expenses. So that leaves 2%, and that category is our spending money. Again, we spend very little. We live in a great area in PA where it's a vacation town, and there's a lot of things to do outdoors. We don't live in a city, so we don't, we can't go to clubs. There's no public gyms, so there's no memberships. There's no big expenses going out to expensive restaurants. It's pretty simple. I pay for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym membership, MMA club, which is $130 a month, but I pay with money that I make off of social media and online, so that doesn't come out of the budget. We rely on a lot of the extra side hustle income. My fiance has an online store. We have real estate investments that we reinvest that money, but in general, we rely on a lot of that for our spending. And for our expenses, we use credit cards. I use the Wells Fargo card that is 2% cash back on everything. So our spending is 2% of my total income. However, we rely a lot on extra side hustle income, and then, like I said, cash back from credit cards on expenses. We just use that for spending, and that comes out to around like $50 a month. So it actually adds a lot of, again, free money that we're just able to spend completely guilt-free spending money, and it allows me to enjoy spending and not regret it, whatsoever, and make sure that it's something that I really, truly enjoy and will get something out of when I make that purchase. So as I said, this budget will kind of change a lot, as I get older. Currently 27. I kind of break up my budgets into 2-year increments. Obviously I've just started out as a PA, so there hasn't been a previous 2 years. But this first 2 years, I'm just focusing on, again, investing and saving as much as possible and kind of getting that foundation for the future. In the next 2 years, starting at age 28, again, I started as a PA at 26, and next year will be 28, and that's when I will decide the next 2 years, along with my fiance. We have monthly budget meetings to go through everything and make sure we're staying on track. And again, this is our first year kind of finishing up here, so we'll do a review of the year and kind of decide, if our future goals have changed or not. So my goal for this 2 years was, again, to invest as much as possible, save as much as possible, get those investments, get that head start, and focus on minimizing our expenses as much as possible for the future, because my goal is for my fiance to be able to go per diem or part-time, or stop working, whatever she would like to do. And then for me to be able to go part-time or just go per diem if I so choose. I think I'm still going to stay full-time, but I just want that option to be available. And to do that, it's not really a matter of saving as much as possible. It's mainly minimizing your expenses as much as possible, and having that side income where you could leave your W-2 job and still make enough to live with your expenses being low. So right now, our expenses as a couple come out to about $40,000 per year. That includes my fiance's car payment and paying off her student loans, which is a large portion of that. Housing, groceries are the big expenses. Otherwise, we don't have really many big expenses aside from health insurance. And the goal is to lower those as much as possible. The goal within the next year now for this 2-year increment was to bring our expenses down in half to $20,000. So in order to reach that goal of living off of $20,000 per year in expenses, you have to focus on the 3 big expenses. So the 3 big expenses are going to be housing, transportation, and groceries. So I have a list here of our total expenses. So our total expenses is $3,333 per month. And the biggest expense is transportation, because it includes my fiance's car payment, which is $1,000 a month we put towards the car. So our car payment is less than that, but our goal is we put $1,000 per month towards the car. So with gas and insurance, comes out to almost $1,600, which is 47% of that total expenses budget. The next would be housing. So housing includes our rent of $875, our utilities, our home security system, and just those housing expenses, supplies. So that's $1,000 a month total, which is 32% of that total budget. So right there, transportation and housing alone is 79% of our total expenses. So not even counting groceries. If you add in groceries, our groceries are $400 a month, which is 12% of our total budget. We buy the cheapest stuff. We don't go organic. So we keep it pretty simple there, and we don't include dining out and everything in that. Dining out is in our spending. So our groceries are only $400 a month for the both of us. So right there you have 79% with transportation and housing plus the groceries, brings you to over 90%. And then the rest is just health insurance, $247 per month, which is 7% of that total amount. And then other, we have a Hulu membership, cat food, things like that, personal care supplies, $36 a month, which is 1% of that total budget. So you can see, just if you focus on minimizing transportation, housing, and groceries, you could save, 90% of that. So our goal for transportation, once we get my fiance's car paid off within the next year, hopefully the goal is I'm taking any extra money we have on top of that $1,000 a month from me working weekend shifts and per diem shifts and just throwing it to the car. The goal, and then my fiance is going to move up here and work closer so we can cut back on our gas expenses. The goal is to have $500 a month, which is 15%. For transportation. And then our housing, the goal is originally, now this things might change now as we kind of mature more and, just thinking for the future, originally was to get a multifamily home and live in one unit and rent out the other. Now we actually own a multifamily home, a duplex. We don't live there. We currently rent a separate apartment and own an apartment that we rent out. And originally we were going to buy another one and live in one and rent out the other. But now that we're thinking about children and kind of getting our life ready, we're thinking about just buying a single family home. So that might change. But regardless, we would kind of break it down into where real estate income would help cover our housing payment. So the goal is to get that down from $1,000 to $300 a month. That includes utilities, housing payments, everything. So that would bring that down to 9% from 32. So the goal in the next year is to have that housing and transportation expense at 24% of the total. And then groceries, we're already pretty much at our limit here. So essentially we would cut it in half to 44% of that $3,333. And then the goal would be about $1,500 per month in total expenses, which is almost $18,000 per year to live off of. And then essentially, like I said, we would, cut back on investing if we really wanted to. Again, we might decide not to do this. But if, technically we could stop investing now and have enough for retirement to be comfortable, and live off of, just have to make $18,000, plus taxes. So like $30,000. So we could both, potentially just work per diem, or, my fiance could essentially, retire and work from home, and we just have to make about $30,000 a year. So I could potentially just do part-time per diem hours. So that is kind of our plan and what we're doing, trying to bundle everything into this 2 years and just focus so that the future we can kind of just decide what we want to do, and just have the options even if we don't decide to do, retire early, blah, 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 just to have the option to be able to do that, because you never know, God forbid something happens to one of us and we can't work anymore, or something happens to my family. I have a lot of elderly people in the family who are very close to me, and if something would happen to them, if we have to take care of them, and just to have not be obligated to work, and when we have kids to be able to spend time with them. So we want to do all that now, while still enjoying our lives. Again, I've 7 weeks of time off at my job, and I've maxed it out. So we're still living, but you find ways to prepare yourself. And that's basically it. That is the whole budget that I kind of developed throughout my time as a pre-PA and then through PA school. And it did kind of change around a lot as you kind of come to realizations of what things are going to be like. And it changed it around. So, I just wanted to go through all my investing, my real estate plan, so on and so forth. I will talk more about the real estate specifically. That's just something that I've done recently, and something that I'm still trying to figure out with managing a rental property, being a landlord. So I will talk more about that in the future and how that's going. But if you do have any questions about anything that I talked about or the budget, just go ahead and ask a question below. You could also ask questions on my Instagram at prepa_guide. And that's all I got for you guys today.